Listen, it's a Tuesday in this programme. We take our glance weekly across the digital frontier. This week we're in the good company of Professor Kevin Curran from the University of Ulster at Magee. Kevin, I would never doorstep you or trapdoor you, but we're about to report after one that the proposal has finally gone in for the major teaching block in Magee, just up the street from where you spend your time. And I think it's fair to say there's huge anticipation there.
Oh, exactly. It's great to see actually the campus, the development over recent years, really, and the amount of students who are there. There's real life on campus, and it's wonderful to see.
The population of it really needs people. It's like a city centre. When the footfall arrives, it has its own, wheels within wheels, as Seamus Heaney would have said. The thing self-generates. By the way, folks, after one, we're going to talk in detail about that. The space between the existing library, which backs onto the Northland Road, and Radio Foyle, basically, it's 100 yards from where I'm sitting. It's that massive sort of dusty car parky area. It's going to be one massive teaching block, courtesy of the Dublin government and the university. Kevin, smartphones, and we get these in work all the time, tests and alerts and fire alerts, the alarm will go off in 10 minutes, don't panic. What's going to happen with our smartphones here?
Yeah, on September the 7th, we're going to get a national alert. So where our phones are going to make a siren, they're going to vibrate, make a siren sound for about 10 seconds and display a message around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, really. And they're just testing, basically. And they had one 2 years ago, if you remember. But of course, some people did not receive the alert, but this time they're testing again. And it's an early warning system again. So obviously that there's worries about the military in Russia and these things again, but also again it's useful for storms and just even local emergencies.
Yeah. Just like the fire, Pat McFadden, the government cabinet officer, just like the fire alarm in the house, it's important we test the system so we know if it'll work if we need it. Kevin, there's not much more in that, but just we'll flag it up maybe closer to the time. Right, let's pop over to Denmark for us, Kevin, would you? In terms of deep fakes, where they steal your look or the type of you and the sound of you and all the rest, and this issue of copyright. God, I don't know where to start with this stuff. Give us an endpoint.
Yeah, it's something we wouldn't have thought about discussing a few years ago. But of course, now that there's these AI tools and they make it so simple to clone someone's voice and then to copy their voice, even with just a few seconds for sampling, but also with videos again. You just have to have an image or even a video clip of someone, and then you can turn that person into an avatar, or just someone who actually looks like that's you speaking whatever else again. So Danish government are obviously aware of deep fakes, as most of us are, but again that the government is trying to bring into legislation again that people would have copyright over their own features. In other words, that any other third party cannot come along and make a clone of you in video or in digital form and use it. In other words, that you would have the copyright to your own image and your own likeness in a video or a still image.
So, Kevin, if the sovereign Danish government gets that through, it'll be the first of its kind in Europe. Does that create a precedent then for the European Union to step in and go, yeah, we'll have a bit of that, all of us?
It does, because we've a copyright law for over 100 years, really. Of course, people can't use your content without permission, of course, and if you want original content. But actually, at the moment, the copyright law doesn't prevent someone from making you the subject of their video, really. And, of course, they can do it for parody. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make fun of politicians, whatever else. But you, as a Joe Soap, again, at the moment, there is nothing to prevent someone making a deep fake video of you and having you do foolish things and even illegal things on video or in an image, and you have no say in that. So in other words, that the common sense would tell us that no, actually we should be protected. We should have some protection against someone using and making a deep fake video or image of us,
or stealing your book and calling it something else, or
Well, see, that's different. I mean, yeah, you're right, and I mean that's even graver. But in this case, actually, obviously it's someone creating a clone of you and posting it online, and of course that they can make money out of it, whatever else. So yeah.
Kevin, do you watch the tennis? I wouldn't have had you down. I wouldn't have had you down as a tennis man.
I watched the highlights. I mean, a full game is so long, but of course I'll always watch the final.
I don't know. There's something about the golden era. I'm old enough to remember Bjorn Borg and McEnroe, and nothing seems to have come close. But listen, what about this? So I think, look, it's a bit Quality Street, I suppose, but I like the umpires sitting in their perfect skirts and their perfect trousers and blazers and all the rest. They're gone. And some of the players aren't happy with the artificial intelligence on the lines, Kevin. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that finally Wimbledon have copied what a lot of the other Grand Slams have, of course, that they've removed the line judges, which are at the corners of the, looking for a ball that goes out, and now they're using, a camera system, basically. Even though it's AI, it's not really, it's just a camera system. Being able to overhead view, seeing is a ball in or out. However, during the week, there was a particular game where a Russian player, her ball, basically it went out, but it wasn't called against her. So in other words, she was complaining about that. They had to replay the point, and it turns out that someone had basically turned the camera system off.
Oh no! Yeah. So, but and you don't, with the eyes, you'd be silly closing your eyes as a line judge. It's always going to be that thing, Kevin, isn't it? Sort of the Turing test about machines doing it better than us and all the rest. I mean, at the end of the day, you'd agree that lasers and the power of lasers, sadly maybe, but they're more powerful, they're more insightful probably than the human eye.
Yeah, they do, because even the chair of the All England club said, "Look, when we did have linesmen, people were asking that why don't we have the electronic line call?" But I never thought about this. That there was a blind tennis player who actually plays there at a high level, and she was given off that she can't tell because there is no sound. She can't see the line judges call if it's in or out, so she's kind of guessing a lot of her points.
Gotcha. Kevin, I pardon me, I've got a frog in my throat today. In terms of social media, it's sort of gone sour in many areas over the last number of years. I think most people would agree it can become a silo of the unsavoury. But there are others. I mean, X, formerly Twitter, was and is massive. Threads, I see catching up, and Blue Sky, which was meant to be sort of a safe, more life-affirming kind of space, not by comparison doing amazingly. So what catches your eye?
Yeah, Threads is owned by Meta, who own Facebook and Instagram. And basically, Threads mobile app, their system, has 115 million daily active users. So again, that's a 127% increase. So it's actually just second to X on active daily users as well. So in some ways, it's catching on. It doesn't have maybe as much profile when it comes to media or whatever else, but it seems to be definitely outperforming the other decentralized social media, which is Blue Sky, which basically has only about 4 million active users.
But the growth curve, I note, with Blue Sky is massive. It's up 372% year over year as of June, Kevin. So, do you think it'll get a purchase point? I mean, I think that when there's big political or sort of social upheavals, people go, I'm not going on a certain site. I mean, I'll go to Blue Sky where people maybe are a bit more civil. Is that to put it too simply?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like Blue Sky is completely left-leaning, and X has become real right-wing leaning again. But you would have thought that Blue Sky would have had more inroads by now, given the hype that's around there at the stars and people leaving X again. But it seems to have stagnated. If you ask anyone really within your, within your real world, friendships again, that very few of them are using Blue Sky. So it remains to be seen yet, but still it's one of the only alternatives out there because it is very hard to bootstrap the social media side. And, Threads made it as easy as it ever could be. All you had to do was log in with your Facebook or Instagram profile, and it copied across so many of your details, and hey presto, you were there connected to existing friends. And yet really it's hard to move people off the major social media sites like X.
Gotcha. Kevin, finally, TikTok is a world I don't understand. I wouldn't know how to TikTok. I use the social media for this programme on a personal account. That's about it these days. What about TikTok? So they're concerned about you've spoken about this before, Chinese ownership and the ban in America and all of the rest. So what's the latest there?
The latest is that it seems that TikTok are developing a brand new version of its app for US users. Again, because of course the US came along and says, look, we're going to ban TikTok because of national security fears. again, and that basically it has to be given over to U.S. ownership again. But of course, TikTok, who were owned by ByteDance, did not want to do that, of course, and there's been a back and to and fro that China, and actually Trump did ban it for 24 hours again, but now that they're saying that, look, at TikTok will release a US only version of the app, and then that can be given over to US ownership, and that will alleviate their concerns and again get around it. But generally it won't affect TikTok users around the world as such, because we'll just still use the main app which is existing right now. But again, it remains to be seen. But it seems to be getting closer to a deal, according to a lot of news outlets as well. But
Gotcha.
Of course, it's one of the most popular apps in the world for social media.
Kevin, always appreciate it. Thank you. Professor Kevin Curran there, University of Ulster University at McGee.